Something unbelievable is happening inside USA basketball right now. And if you haven't been following every update, you might have missed just how explosive the situation has become. What should have been a moment of celebration, Caitlin Clark getting invited to the senior national training camp, has suddenly turned into one of the biggest public controversies women's basketball has seen in years. Because just minutes after the news dropped, USA Basketball posted a welcome graphic online and somehow left out the one name, the one face, the one global star the entire world was looking for. Fans expected to see Caitlin Clark front and center, but instead her absence felt like a deliberate slap in the face, a public benching disguised as a promotional post. And the reaction? It hit like a thunderstorm. The league, the organization, and people in charge had absolutely no idea what they were about to unleash. The first wave of outrage came fast. People saw the graphic, realized Caitlin wasn't on it, and immediately felt that familiar sting from last year, the Olympic roster disaster, the moment when Clark got snubbed even as global interest in women's basketball was exploding. Everyone thought USA Basketball had learned from that backlash. Everyone assumed they understood what she meant to the sport. But just like that, the same mistake was happening all over again. A baffling decision that ignored every warning, every criticism, every opportunity to showcase the most popular women's basketball player on the planet. Fans weren't the only ones who saw the problem immediately. This entire situation reached the top levels of sports leadership the first time around. The head of the 2028 Olympic Committee went public, saying it was a terrible idea to leave Caitlin Clark off the Olympic team. Adam Silver himself said the decision was a massive missed opportunity to grow women's sports and bring in millions of new viewers. Those aren't empty opinions. Those are warnings from the most powerful people in the industry. And yet here we are watching USA Basketball brush off all of it, acting like Clark's global appeal is somehow a problem instead of the biggest gift the sport has had in decades. The original Olympic snub didn't just cause arguments online. It caused measurable damage. Viewership for women's basketball plummeted. Entire groups of fans boycotted games. Broadcasters lost millions in potential ratings. NBC, which paid enormous money for those broadcasting rights, missed out on what could have been record-breaking numbers. The moment Caitlin Clark was not included, the entire momentum of the sport dropped overnight. That wasn't speculation. That was data. And yet, USA Basketball seemed determined to pretend none of that ever happened. So when that new graphic came out, a major announcement promoting the upcoming Team USA training camp, and Clark was nowhere to be seen, it was like reliving that nightmare decision all over again. The timing was so bad, the optics were so terrible, that fans genuinely believed it was intentional. The most recognizable athlete in women's basketball history, the one whose games triple TV viewership, the one who sells out arenas in minutes, the one who brings in international fans from 30 different countries, removed from her own welcome announcement. The internet did not take that quietly. One of the people who drew the most attention to this fiasco was journalist Christine Brennan. She posted a simple observation pointing out the obvious. If USA Basketball actually wanted to grow the sport and generate excitement, Caitlin Clark would be the first face they'd show in any promotional material. Her tweet went viral instantly. Over 250,000 views within hours. Every comment, every quote, every repost showed the same sentiment. Confusion, frustration, anger, disappointment. USA Basketball was caught in 4K, ignoring the very audience they claimed they want to reach. People weren't just mad that Clark's face wasn't there. They were mad at what this omission represented. It felt like the continuation of a pattern, that certain people behind the scenes don't want Caitlin Clark to be the face of women's basketball, even though she already is. This is the part fans keep coming back to. They can't understand how an organization responsible for promoting the sport is so openly resisting the one athlete who's making it grow. It feels like stubbornness. It feels political. And in the eyes of many, it feels personal. The reaction to Brennan's post was so intense that USA Basketball quietly started editing, removing, and limiting certain posts. Not all of them, but enough that people noticed. The main post is still up, but the comment underneath are an avalanche of criticism. Thousands of fans calling out the snub, demanding answers, and asking the same question over and over. Why is USA Basketball so afraid to show Caitlin Clark? The explanation gets even more confusing when you look at the actual graphic. It wasn't a huge poster with 20 athletes. It featured a handful of players, including some incredibly talented names. But none of them even come close to Clark's global recognition. Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, great players with great careers. But when promoting a national training camp, common sense says you highlight the player who brings in millions of new fans. That's not an insult to anyone. That's basic marketing. People were posting comments like, "Who are these players again?" Or, "Why would you hide the only player who can triple your ratings?" And whether those comments were harsh or not, they show an undeniable reality. Caitlin Clark is the reason many casual fans watch. She is the entry point. She is the spark. She is the difference. Leaving her off a graphic isn't just bizarre, it's business malpractice. And this is where frustration boils over. Because the original Olympic snub already proved how damaging these decisions can be. After Clark was left off the team, viewership tanked. Fever Games alone saw ratings drop over 50% after the announcement. People weren't joking when they said they would boycott. They actually did. And now we're looking at USA Basketball, repeating the same move that already cost them millions in momentum and exposure. There are even whispers inside the basketball world that some coaches and executives don't want Clark to overshadow veteran players, that they prefer sticking with old hierarchies instead of embracing the athlete who's carrying the entire sport on her back. Some fans believe the new coach might be uncomfortable with the idea of Clark becoming bigger than the program itself. Whether those theories are true or not, the perception alone is a disaster. When millions of people think you're intentionally sabotaging your sport's biggest asset, you have a real PR crisis on your hands. And let's be honest, Caitlin Clark is more than a player. She's an economic engine. Her games, her jersey sales, her broadcasts, her influence, they are unmatched. She brings as many eyes to the sport as entire leagues combined. And to ignore her is to reject success on purpose. It makes fans feel like the people in charge would rather shrink the sport than admit that a young star has become its center of gravity. One of the most telling signs of how bad this has gotten is that people are now openly predicting disaster for USA Basketball if they leave Clark off the final roster again. The reaction from fans after graphic incident already feels like a preview of what's coming if they repeat that mistake. The backlash will be nuclear. The ratings will drop again. The trust will be gone, and the damage won't just be temporary. It'll be long-lasting. You even have longtime women's basketball supporters saying they stopped watching the Olympics because Clark wasn't included. That's how strong her impact is. Entire groups of fans checked out. The organization saw the numbers, saw the consequences, and still chose to play with fire again. It really makes you wonder what the end game is. Are they trying to prove a point? Are they hoping the Clark phenomenon fades away? Because if that's the strategy, it's not working. Every attempt to sideline her only makes her bigger. Every snub becomes a headline. Every omission turns into a viral moment. This is the exact opposite of hiding a player. They're making her even more iconic by resisting her. And now the pressure is higher than ever. Fans are watching every move USA Basketball makes. Reporters are documenting every inconsistency. Even NBA leaders are stepping in, pointing out the obvious opportunities being wasted. If the final roster drops and Caitlin Clark's name is missing again, the reaction will be unlike anything the organization has ever experienced. It won't just be outrage, it'll be global outrage. Because at this point, fans aren't just arguing that Clark deserves to be included. They're arguing that the sport itself depends on it. She is the face of the movement. She is the spark behind the ratings surge. She is the link between old fans and brand new ones. Leaving her off graphics, promotions, or rosters isn't a neutral decision. It's a public statement, one that fans are interpreting as a ban, a deliberate attempt to minimize her presence even when she's earned everything through talent, work, and undeniable star power. If USA Basketball truly want to grow the game, the path couldn't be clearer. Embrace the biggest star you have. Put her front and center. Celebrate what she brings. But if they choose the opposite path again, the entire sports world will be watching, and they will have nobody to blame for the fallout but themselves. What makes this so wild is that Caitlin Clark isn't asking for special treatment. She isn't demanding to be the face of Team USA. The fans are the ones demanding it. The broadcasters are the ones demanding it. The sponsors are the ones demanding it. The sport itself is practically begging for it. And yet every time the door starts to open, someone behind the scenes seems determined to slam it shut again. The reaction to this recent graphic shows exactly how sensitive this topic has become. People aren't even waiting for an official roster announcement anymore. They're reacting to graphics, captions, quotes, anything that even hints at Clark being sidelined again. That's how deep the trust issues have gotten. The public sees patterns even when USA Basketball pretends those patterns don't exist. They remember that when Clark wasn't invited to the first Olympic camp, there was no explanation. They remember that when she wasn't chosen for the roster, there was no meaningful justification. They remember that when the backlash hit, officials claimed they chose the best players for the team, even though some of those players barely touched the floor during the actual Olympic Games. Fans aren't stupid. They see how decisions are made. They see whose careers are prioritized. They see which voices inside the organization carry the most influence. And they see that Caitlin Clark keeps being treated differently from every other player of her impact and magnitude. What's happening now is bigger than a graphic. It has become a referendum on how women's basketball is run at the highest levels. People are asking whether the leadership is out of touch, whether they're stuck in old ways of thinking, whether they're threatened by the idea of a new, younger, massively influential star changing the culture of the sport. These aren't accusations coming from fringe fans. These are conversations happening from commentators, former players, journalists, executives, and even NBA figures. When the biggest voices in the industry start talking about the disconnect, that's when you know it's not a fan conspiracy anymore. It's a real crisis of leadership. One of the biggest comments floating around right now is that USA Basketball is scared of a world where Caitlin Clark becomes bigger than their brand. Fans point out that the NBA openly embraced stars like Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, because they understood a basic truth. The league becomes stronger when its stars shine. But with USA Basketball, the fans feel the opposite is happening. Instead of embracing the modern era, some decision makers seem terrified of it. They want to control the narrative, control the hierarchy, control who gets spotlighted and who does not. But that becomes impossible in a world where social media exposes every mistake, every omission, every strange decision instantly. And when you think about the broader context, the timing could not be worse. Women's basketball is finally breaking into mainstream culture. Stadiums that used to struggle to fill seats are now selling out. Jersey sales are hitting record highs. Networks that once ignored women's basketball are now fighting for broadcasting rights. And what's fueling all this momentum? Caitlin Clark's rise. Her ability to draw in millions of viewers who never paid attention before. Her ability to make highlight clips go viral instantly. Her presence turning routine games into nationally televised events. To try to dim that star, even slightly, makes absolutely no sense from a business perspective. What USA Basketball doesn't seem to understand is that Caitlin Clark represents more than popularity. She represents the future of their global brand. Kids are learning the game because of her. Sponsors are investing because of her. International audiences are tuning in because of her. Ignoring that isn't just frustrating, it's self-destructive. And whether they meant to or not, that training camp graphic sent a message nobody can ignore. The people in charge still haven't learned anything from the last 2 years. The anger isn't just about Clark being omitted. It's about the disrespect that fans feel is being shown to their loyalty. They care deeply about the sport. They've invested time, energy, emotion, and money. And every time Caitlin Clark gets minimized, overlooked, or left out, it feels like a direct dismissal of the people who have worked so hard to support women's basketball. Fans genuinely believe they're fighting for the sport, and they don't understand why USA Basketball isn't fighting with them. There's also a growing belief that USA Basketball underestimated just how much star power affects fan behavior today. In the past, a single omission on a graphic wouldn't spark a meltdown. But today, fans are tuned into every detail. They read into everything. They connect dots instantly. Clark isn't just another player. She's a cultural center of the women's game. Leaving her off any major promotional material carries meaning whether USA Basketball likes it or not. Once people feel a pattern of exclusion, every new moment becomes proof. And look at how quickly the organization moved when the backlash hit. They didn't explain themselves. They didn't clarify anything. They didn't post a corrected version. They didn't retweet highlights of Clark. Instead, they quietly pulled down certain posts and pretended nothing happened. That silence only added fuel to the fire. When fans don't get answers, they create their own explanations. And right now, those explanations are not flattering. This situation also highlights something deeper happening in women's sports: the battle between old guard and new wave. Veteran players who have built long, successful careers want their respect, and rightfully so. But fans argue that respect doesn't vanish just because someone new becomes the face of the movement. The NBA didn't turn its back on its legends when Jordan emerged. They celebrated both. But right now it feels like the people running USA Basketball believe that if Clark gets too big, it somehow overshadows the legacy of the veterans. The opposite is true. Her rise brings more attention to everyone. The most painful part for fans is that none of this had to happen. Team USA could have posted a simple graphic celebrating all the athletes, and none of this controversy would exist. They could have leaned into Clark's popularity instead of resisting it. They could have used this moment to rebuild trust after the Olympic snub. Instead, they walked straight into a PR disaster, and now the spotlight is shining on every uncomfortable truth that people have been whispering about for months. The reality is this: if Caitlin Clark is on the final Olympic roster or the major Team USA promotions, the backlash won't just be angry comments. It will drop viewership drops, boycotts, sponsorship pressure, constant media scrutiny. Every decision USA Basketball makes will be questioned, and millions of fans will be waiting, ready to hold them accountable. Clark doesn't need to be forced into the spotlight. She already lives there. The only question now is whether USA Basketball will evolve with the moment or isolate the very star who's carrying their future. Because after this latest controversy, one thing is absolutely clear: fans aren't going to tolerate another snub. Not on a graphic, not on a roster, not anywhere. And if USA Basketball continues to push back against the momentum she brings, the entire sports world is going to erupt louder than anything we've seen so far.